Happy New Year! I wish I could say, well, maybe in the new year the mainstream media will lie less to you, but who are we kidding? I think there's a good reason why you all have watched my videos over 300 million times this year. I tell you the truth, while the mainstream media has spent this entire year lying to you. In fact, the mainstream media has lied to you so often and so egregiously that I compiled a list of the 6 worst lies from the mainstream media this year. Lie number 1. The mainstream media told you Iran will go to war with us since President Trump killed Qasem Soleimani. This was false. The mainstream media also called President Trump a warmonger because President Trump killed Soleimani, one of the most powerful terrorists on the planet, a man who was directly responsible for the deaths of hundreds of US military members. The mainstream media didn't care about the truth. They assured you war was imminent simply because they've taken a vow to hate everything President Trump says or does. So the mainstream media lied to bolster their anti-Trump narrative. Lie number 2. The mainstream media told you NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace was the victim of a racist hate crime when somebody hung a noose in his garage. Turns out this was also false. The so-called noose was a garage pole, and Bubba Wallace wasn't the victim of anything. But of course, the mainstream media didn't bother to investigate before they claimed that all NASCAR fans were racist hillbilly bigots. The mainstream media lied because it bolstered their radical leftist agenda. Lie number 3. The mainstream media told you President Trump is guilty of Ukraine quid pro quo. Impeach him, they said. In fact, the House of Representatives did impeach President Trump in the wake of Adam Schiff's lies and the mainstream media gobbling up those lies and regurgitating them. But the accusation itself was false. There was no proof President Trump engaged in a quid pro quo. We saw the readout of the phone call where this allegedly happened, and it didn't happen. And then a whole slew of witnesses, who, by the way, were not pro-Trump, testified that they knew of zero evidence of a quid pro quo. But the mainstream media ignored the facts and lied to you anyway. Lie number 4. The mainstream media told you the Black Lives Matter Antifa riots are peaceful. Forget the burning building blazing in the background as a CNN reporter tells you that it's a peaceful protest. Ignore the murders and the rape accusations that happened in the Chaz Chop Zone. Ignore the minority-owned businesses that were looted and robbed and set on fire in Milwaukee. The mainstream media lied to you because the lies protected Democrat politicians from accountability for the violent riots in their own cities. Lie number 5. The mainstream media told you COVID-19 has a 3.6% case fatality rate. Now, we knew this wasn't true within weeks of COVID-19 spreading around the world. This was obviously a false number. The infection fatality rate is nowhere close to that. But the mainstream media lied. They kept repeating this terrifying talking point even after the World Health Organization and the CDC and epidemiologists and serological studies proved it wrong. The mainstream media lied because they knew COVID-19 would help the Democrats win the election, and that's what the mainstream media wanted. Lie number 6. The mainstream media told you nothing to see on Hunter Biden's laptop. In fact, not only did the mainstream media ignore the New York Post's original report about Hunter Biden inappropriately profiting from his father, Joe Biden's position as vice president, Facebook and Twitter then outright banned the story in the weeks leading up to the election because they knew people would be horrified that Hunter Biden was allegedly holding money for the big guy, Joe Biden, from foreign nationals. But the mainstream media lied and said nothing to see here. It's a conspiracy, they told you, because they didn't want anything to hurt Joe Biden's chances in the election. This is who the mainstream media are. They are liars who willfully mislead you, deliberately ignore the truth, and funnel false information to you because they are trying to manipulate you into supporting their radical leftist agenda. 2020 made that perfectly clear. And so, as always, since the mainstream media refuses to tell you the truth, I will.